Hello, my name is Willoughby. A student in the graduate program for physical education at Cumberland University, also a teacher at White House High School and football coach. Today I'm going to be talking about Coakley's book, Sports and Society, Issues and Controversies, focusing on Chapter 12, Media and Sports and their relationship. The first thing to discuss is what is media and how it's changed over several years. That's important to look at as media has changed from in the early 1900s as sports were very limited. Football, the way we know it today, the NFL, college football, wasn't as popular before until Red Grange, guys like that decided to go pro in football after college. There wasn't much of professional ranks to begin with. But as media attention starts to grow, media availability from newspaper, that grows into radio, that grows into television, that grows into smartphones and tablets, having things at the palm of your hand, media has affected that and grown with it. Early on, ads in newspapers affected that. Sports writers and that profession grows. And then radios become popular. You start having ads on radio. Televisions grow. With that, there's a lot of money to be made in these professional sports. With that money being made, there also comes control and power. As we get more and more popular and more ways to access it, companies want to reach out more and more in a way that they can sell things. They want to have control. They want their products pushed. They control, not necessarily control, but they have heavy influence over athletes and how they perform, over networks and how they broadcast things. One example from Coakley's book, he talks about ESPN in 2008. They break ties with PBS over an issue with the NFL and concussions. PBS published a story about concussions, and not long after a meeting of the NFL commissioner and ESPN decides to drop ties with PBS. Because of that money, because of that negativity toward their business, they decide that's not a good business interest, and the media is able to control what goes on. And again, that ties in with the next section. Media in sports is there to keep sponsors happy. You look at any sporting event, you see plugs for everything. You see storylines shifted. We're watching a real life, what's going on in someone's life, sporting events that aren't rigged, that aren't fake, but we are adapting storylines. We're making storylines that fit consumer products, that fit things that are meaningful to the audience. You look at the Olympics and NBC focusing on athletes' moms, part of a sponsorships program to encourage love for moms and what they're wanting to push in their advertisements. We're building through the media soap operas out of real life experiences and what's going on, in part to sell products. There's also new media that's changed a lot of the way things are done. Before, you had to go through a editor, a publisher, a newspaper, a major corporation to have your thoughts and your things put out there. Now, just like I'm doing here, you can go on YouTube and make a video. Popular Nashville sports writer Clay Travis has done that in being able to go through social media, Twitter, things like that, publishing his own ideas, and people are investing in it. He's not having to go through a major corporation. He's able to get his ideas out in that way. Sports companies are also starting to do this. NFL, Major League Baseball, are able to get away from big-time companies by having their own streaming services. NFL offers streaming service. MLB, from our book, talks about you can stream X amount of games on a streaming service or an X amount of price. Now they control how their product is seen, how their product is distributed, not a major media company. Other ways, things like fantasy sports. Now individuals are able to create their own storylines, create their own team, and have a control over that. And it's an interesting new way of going around the media, doing their own research, trying to find out things and how sports are involved and what's going on with sports. Another thing with the media is video games. Youth are they're not going through the traditional youth sports, growing up learning how to play baseball, football that way. They're buying games like Madden, Major League Baseball video games, and learning techniques through that, playing the Wii and being able to get something in their hands they can control, they can learn a strategy, not doing it the traditional way. Video games have gotten to a point where they're so high definition that people aren't wanting to watch the games. They can control the quarterback. They control the running back. They can make all these decisions in a career mode on an Xbox or PlayStation to where they don't have to watch a game. They can have at their fingertips whatever they want to do. Last thing is, are sports and media dependent on each other? Sport is in a sense, dependent on media if it's a commercial business. Media doesn't control whether or not we play high school sports. It helps. It's a great way to get our stuff out there, but it's not going to control whether we do that or not. We're not dependent on that. Things like professional sports, the NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, they are dependent because that money is drawn in from media, getting their advertisements, getting fans in the seats. That supports them. Media can be dependent on sports, but doesn't have to be. We're still going to have news. We're still going to have newspapers we're still going to have social media without sports. Now, magazines, things like that, dedicated to sports are going to suffer. They are dependent on sports itself. A lot of television is dependent. If you look at some of the big TV contracts and how much money and revenue is involved in sports broadcasting, you can say some channels, some broadcasting companies are very dependent on sports. But as a whole, sport in a commercial sense is heavily dependent on media. Media, though, not in every sense dependent on sports. I hope that this quick rundown of Chapter 12 in Copley's book has been beneficial. I hope you understand. Thank you for watching.